Welcome to the View in the Past channel. Help us hit our goal of 50,000 subscribers by subscribing today. Your support is truly appreciated. Thank you. One of the first great Western stars of the silver screen, William S. Hart, was born on December 6, 1864, in Newburgh, New York. He was so captivated with the American West that he amassed an impressive collection of old Western pistols and firearms that were believed to belong to notorious gunslingers. On December 5, 1848, during his address to Congress, President Polk confirmed that gold had been found in California. The next year saw a gold rush that transformed California in many ways. The first 49ers panned for gold, but by the early 1850s, extensive mining, as shown here on the American River, was in full operation. On December 4, 1875, during an approved home visit, convicted embezzler and former head of Tammany Hall, William Boss Tweed, escaped Ludlow Street Jail, a federal prison in New York City. He fled to Cuba and on to Spain, where he worked as a seaman. He was captured by authorities nearly a year later, extradited, and was returned to the U.S. government. Tweed was sent back to Ludlow Street Jail, where he died of pneumonia in 1878. Shirley Chisholm, the first black woman elected to U.S. Congress, was born on November 30th, 1924 in Brooklyn, New York. During a speech in 1972, she said, "When I first announced that I was running for Congress, both male and females advised me, as they had when I ran for New York State Assembly, go back to teaching, a woman's vocation, and leave the politics to men." Shirley served as a member of the U.S. House of Representatives from New York's 12th District between 1969 and 1983. About an hour after midnight on November 29, 1929, Norwegian-born Bernt Balchen, shown chief pilot of a Ford trimotor plane called the Floyd Bennett, along with Commander Richard Byrd and two other crew members, became the first to fly over the South Pole. A few years later, Balchen also became an American citizen and was hired by Amelia Earhart as a technical advisor. Hap Arnold asked Balchen to join the U.S. Army Air Forces during World War II. Balchen accepted the invitation and established secret U.S. airfields in Greenland. In the woods to the left in front of the seminary General Reynolds fell. The locality has since been called Reynolds Grove. Major General Howard now assumed command of the field, and General Schurz of the 11th Corps. From their positions, these two small corps were driven, after several hours' severe fighting, by the Corps of Hill and Ewell, who outnumbered them largely. They retired through the town in some confusion, large numbers being captured during the retreat, but were finally rallied on Cemetery Hill. They were soon after reinforced by the 12th and 3D Corps, and during the night and next day, the Army of the Potomac was brought into position along Cemetery Ridge, its right extending to Culp's Hill, while the Confederate Army was drawn up along Cemetery Ridge. From The Story of the Battle of Gettysburg and Description of the Painting of the Repulse of Longstreet's Assault by John B. Bachelder, published in 1904, not in copyright. General Schurz, pictured here later in life, also fought at the Second Battle of Bull Run, the Battle of Chancellorsville, the Battle of Gettysburg, and the Chattanooga Campaign. He also started a newspaper in St. Louis and became a U.S. Senator from Missouri. He was the 13th Secretary of the Interior during Rutherford B. Hayes's presidency. A month after voting to secede from Virginia, delegates met on November 26, 1861, in Wheeling to compose a constitution for what would become their new state. The Constitution wasn't ratified until 2 years later. One of the proposed names for the new state was Kanawha, but West Virginia was eventually chosen. Image of Custom House, or West Virginia's Independence Hall, where West Virginia's first constitutional convention convened, on November 26, 1861. The Pennsylvania Tunnel at New York City in 1904. Rapid progress is being made in the initial stages of the great engineering project by which the Pennsylvania Road is to secure a terminal station in Manhattan Island and, through connections with the Long Island Railroad system, the work of clearing away the buildings on the 4 large city blocks that will be occupied by the passenger station is well underway, 2 of these blocks over a third of a mile in total length being ready for excavation. The shafts from which the work of tunneling will be carried through have been sunk, and before many weeks have passed, the whole stretch of work from the portal in Jersey to the portal in Long Island will be covered with as big a force as can be crowded upon it. The tunnel, particularly that portion of it beneath the rivers, has been planned with a view to the prevention of accidents to trains or mitigating the dangers should an accident occur. In the first place, the sides of the tunnel are flooded with a mass of concrete up to the level of the car windows. This will reduce the damage due to derailment or collision to a minimum and will provide a means of egress from the tunnel in case of accident. Should a train be held in the tunnel for any reason, it would be possible for the passengers to climb out upon these footways and escape by them to either end of the tunnel. Moreover, should a car jump the track, it would be impossible for it to slew out of line, and it is probable that the whole train could be brought to a stop before any more serious injury than the breaking of windows had been done. A horse-drawn cart passing through a section strategically cut out of the base of a giant sequoia in Yosemite National Park, 1879. In 1879, a remarkable and now iconic photograph was taken of a horse-drawn cart passing through a tunnel carved out of the base of a giant sequoia in Yosemite National Park. This particular tree, known as the Wawona tree, had a passageway cut through it in 1881, making it one of the most famous tunnel trees. The creation of the tunnel was intended to attract tourists and symbolize the human fascination with these ancient and gigantic trees. Although the Wawona tree fell during a snowstorm in 1969, its legacy endures as a testament to the enduring allure and majesty of the giant sequoias. At the 1939 New York World's Fair, Ford Motor Company's Road of Tomorrow was one of the event's largest expositions. Visitors to the streamlined modern complex could ride in brand new Ford automobiles along a conceptual, futuristic, for the time highway experience. Note the similarities between the architecture and the car designs. On the left is Percival Drayton, a Union Navy officer who was born in Charleston, SC, and who was the brother of the man on the right named Thomas Drayton. Thomas, a Confederate general, stayed behind in the South when his father decided to move the family from South Carolina to Philadelphia. He was also a classmate of Jefferson Davis at West Point. The two brothers corresponded throughout the war. They were present and on opposing sides during the Battle of Port Royal. Percival took part in the Battle of Mobile Bay with Rear Admiral Farragut. Thomas lived long after the war until the age of 81. Percival died just a few months after the end of the Civil War from an obstructed bowel. When the Union needs my poor support in peace or in war, I indulge the hope that I shall not fail in the performance of any duty which may be required of me. A quote from Henry Wilson, who was a Civil War veteran and the 18th Vice President of the United States, who died from a stroke on November 22, 1875, while in office. After Wilson's death, Ulysses S. Grant remained without a VP until his final term ended in 1877. On November 18, 1863, the train carrying Abraham Lincoln from Washington, D.C. to Gettysburg stopped at Hanover Junction in Pennsylvania. Lincoln stepped out of the train for a time and addressed the people who were at the station. He even referenced the Battle of Hanover that happened days before the Battle of Gettysburg that summer. It's speculated that the tall man wearing the top hat in the center of the photo is believed to be Abe himself. The very next day, Lincoln delivered his famous Gettysburg Address. During the early 1930s, America was in the grip of the Great Depression. Jobs were scarce, families struggled to make ends meet, and times were uncertain. It was during this challenging era that Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow became household names, not for their good deeds, but for their daring exploits as outlaws. Bonnie and Clyde, often remembered as one of history's most famous criminal couples, traveled across the central United States with their gang. Their story has fascinated people for generations, blending romance, rebellion, and crime into a tale that continues to capture the public's imagination. A life on the run. Bonnie Parker was born in 1910 in Wawona, Texas, and grew up in a small-town environment. She was intelligent, creative, and even dreamed of becoming a writer or actress. Clyde Barrow, born in 1909 near Tellico, Texas, came from a poor farming family and faced hardship from a young age. Both longed for excitement and a better life, but their dreams took a dangerous turn when they met in 1930. The couple quickly fell in love, and together they began a crime spree that lasted from 1932 to 1934. Along with their gang, they robbed banks, small stores, and gas stations, often living on the move to evade authorities. While their actions were illegal, their daring escapes and willingness to take risks made them folk heroes to some struggling Americans who viewed them as rebels against an unjust system. In early 1933, Bonnie and Clyde posed for a series of photographs that helped cement their legend. These images, often showing Bonnie holding a pistol or Clyde leaning against a stolen car, painted them as bold and glamorous fugitives. Some photos depicted Bonnie jokingly pointing a gun at Clyde, suggesting a playful side to their partnership despite their dangerous activities. The photographs were later found by police at an abandoned hideout in Joplin, Missouri, after a deadly shootout. Newspapers published the images, turning the pair into celebrities overnight. Their stylish clothes and confident poses gave the impression of a modern-day Romeo and Juliet living on the edge. Despite their popularity, Bonnie and Clyde's luck eventually ran out. After months of pursuit, they were ambushed by law enforcement officers near Gibbsland, Louisiana, on May 23, 1934. The ambush ended their lives and their crime spree, bringing an end to one of the most famous chapters of the Great Depression. Today, Bonnie and Clyde are remembered through books, movies, and songs that romanticize their adventures. While their actions caused harm and heartbreak, their story serves as a reminder of how hardship and desperation can lead people down a dangerous path. Though their lives ended in tragedy, Bonnie and Clyde remain symbols of rebellion, adventure, and the search for freedom during one of America's most difficult eras. Their photographs and story continue to captivate audiences, leaving a lasting impression on history. Spring break in 1910. A glimpse into teachers' lives. In the early 20th century, spring break looked very different from the bustling vacations and beachside getaways we often associate with it today. Around 1910, teachers used this brief pause in the school year to recharge and take a well-deserved break from their demanding work. A rare photograph from this era provides a charming look at how educators spent their time off, revealing a simpler, more tranquil approach to relaxation. For many teachers at the time, spring break didn't involve elaborate travel plans or exotic destinations. Instead, it often meant reconnecting with family, enjoying the outdoors, or simply taking time to rest. With long hours spent preparing lessons and nurturing young minds, teachers faced significant challenges in balancing work and personal time. Spring break offered a much-needed opportunity to step away from the classroom and return refreshed for the remainder of the school year. Unlike modern vacations, which are often filled with busy itineraries, teachers in 1910 embraced slower-paced activities. Picnics in the park, scenic walks, and afternoons spent reading were likely common ways to unwind. These moments of leisure allowed educators to focus on themselves and recharge, both physically and mentally. And this nostalgic snapshot from the past reminds us of the timeless importance of downtime. While today's spring break traditions may involve travel and adventure, the essence of taking a break remains the same, a chance to relax, reflect, and prepare for the tasks ahead. As we look at this photograph, we're reminded that even over a century ago, teachers valued the opportunity to find balance and enjoy life outside the classroom. Their example highlights the enduring need for rest and renewal, something that remains just as important today as it was in 1910. Samuel Rashevsky, the 8-year-old prodigy who stunned the chess world. In 1920, the chess world witnessed an extraordinary event that would go down in history. An 8-year-old boy named Samuel Rashevsky, already recognized as a prodigy, amazed onlookers in France by defeating several chess masters simultaneously. At an age when most children were learning the basics of arithmetic and reading, Rashevsky was outmaneuvering seasoned professionals with ease, leaving spectators in awe of his remarkable talent. Early signs of brilliance. Born in 1911 in Poland, Rashevsky demonstrated a natural aptitude for chess from a very young age. By 6 years old, he was already competing against and defeating adult opponents in his hometown. His reputation as a child prodigy quickly spread, earning him invitations to perform in simultaneous exhibitions across Europe. These exhibitions, where one player takes on multiple challengers at once, are a daunting test of skill and memory, even for experienced players. For a child, it was almost unimaginable. But Rashevsky thrived under the pressure. The exhibition in France. In 1920, Rashevsky's talent was on full display during a simultaneous exhibition in France. Facing a lineup of highly skilled and experienced chess masters, the young prodigy demonstrated extraordinary intuition and strategic depth. Spectators marveled at his composure and the precision with which he executed his moves. He methodically dismantled his opponents, earning not only their admiration but also the recognition of the international chess community. What set this performance apart was not just Rashevsky's victory but the manner in which he achieved it. While most simultaneous exhibitions allowed players to see the boards, Rashevsky was rumored to have played blindfolded, a feat requiring an incredible memory and visualization skills. If true, this further underscored his prodigious intellect and photographic memory, a star on the rise. Rashevsky's triumph in France was more than just a headline-grabbing event, it was a glimpse into the future of chess. By his teenage years, he was competing in and winning major international tournaments, defeating some of the world's most accomplished players. Over the course of his career, Rashevsky became a chess grandmaster and a dominant figure in 20th century chess. Despite his meteoric rise, Rashevsky balanced his chess career with academic pursuits, later earning a degree in accounting. Yet his passion for chess never waned, and he continued to compete at the highest levels well into adulthood, cementing his legacy as one of the greatest players of all time. In 1963, a young Muhammad Ali, then still known as Cassius Clay, was photographed walking through his hometown of Louisville, Kentucky. He was accompanied by his brother Rahman Ali and their 99-year-old great-grandmother Betsy Jane Greathouse. This heartwarming image captured more than just a personal moment. It reflected Ali's deep connection to his family and the rich heritage that shaped him. Ali, who was on the brink of becoming one of the greatest boxers of all time, stood grounded in his family's history and values. The presence of his great-grandmother, Betsy Jane Greathouse, provided a living link to the past, a past that included the struggles of slavery, the hardships of Reconstruction, and the long journey toward equality. Her life symbolized resilience, a quality that Ali would embody throughout his career and activism. Betsy Jane Greathouse was born in the mid-19th century, a time when African Americans faced immense challenges. Yet, through determination and strength, her family endured and built a foundation for future generations. Standing beside Ali in the photograph, she represented the struggles and triumphs that defined African American history. For Ali, this connection to his ancestry served as both inspiration and motivation. Growing up in the segregated South, he witnessed firsthand the effects of racial inequality. These experiences, coupled with the stories passed down through his family, helped shape his identity, not just as a boxer, but as a voice for justice and equality. The photograph was taken during a pivotal year in American history. In 1963, the civil rights movement was gaining momentum, with landmark events like the March on Washington capturing the nation's attention. Ali's rise to fame mirrored these societal changes. As he gained recognition for his athletic talent, he also began to use his platform to advocate for civil rights and racial equality. Walking with his great-grandmother and brother, Ali's image symbolized the unity and strength of family, qualities that he would later carry into his public life. It also highlighted his unwavering pride in his roots and his commitment to honoring the legacy of those who came before him. In the early 1900s, a young scientist named Marie Sklodowska-Curie quietly began changing the course of history from her modest laboratory in Paris. Far from the sleek, high-tech research facilities we imagine today, Curie's workspace was simple and often inadequate. Yet, with a brilliant mind and unrelenting determination, she paved the way for discoveries that would reshape science and medicine forever. Marie Curie was born in Poland in 1867. From an early age, she displayed an incredible love for learning, especially in mathematics and science. However, opportunities for women in education were limited at the time. Determined to pursue her dreams, Marie moved to Paris to study at the Sorbonne University, where she earned degrees in physics and mathematics. It was during her time in Paris that she met Pierre Curie, a fellow scientist who shared her passion for research. Together, they began groundbreaking experiments that would lead to some of the most important discoveries in history. Marie Curie's curiosity about the invisible forces within atoms led her to coin the term radioactivity to describe the mysterious energy they emitted. With Pierre's support, she spent countless hours studying these elements, even working in a drafty shed without proper equipment. Despite the challenging conditions, the couple made extraordinary progress. Their hard work paid off when they successfully isolated two new elements: polonium, named after Marie's homeland Poland, and radium. These discoveries unlocked new possibilities in science and medicine, including treatments for cancer. Marie Curie's groundbreaking research earned her global recognition. In 1903, she and Pierre were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics, making her the first woman to receive this prestigious award. But Marie didn't stop there. In 1911, she won a second Nobel Prize, this time in chemistry, for her work with radium. To this day, she remains the only person to have won Nobel Prizes in two different scientific fields. Marie Curie's achievements were remarkable not only because of her discoveries, but also because she accomplished them during a time when women were often excluded from science and higher education. She broke down barriers and proved that talent, determination, and hard work could overcome even the greatest obstacles. Her legacy continues to inspire young scientists, especially girls, to pursue careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. STEM. Beyond her contributions to science, Marie Curie's story is one of perseverance, courage, and passion. Her discoveries revolutionized medicine, advanced cancer treatment, and deepened our understanding of atomic energy. Even today, her work influences research in modern technology and healthcare. In the early 1900s, Marie Curie could hardly have imagined the legacy she was creating. Yet her dedication to discovery reminds us all that even the humblest beginnings can lead to world-changing accomplishments. Marie Curie remains a symbol of scientific excellence and a shining example of what can be achieved through curiosity, hard work, and courage. Her story inspires us to dream big, keep learning, and never give up on our goals, no matter how impossible they may seem.